Hello and welcome to the Sterling Podcast. I'm Julia Williams, your host, and today I am thrilled to be joined by none other than Rebecca Blaymires, the commercial manager of What's Commercial Finance. Now, Rebecca and her team, they help a wide range of companies. So whether you're a single sole trader all the way up to having a multi-million pound limited company, they can certainly help you. So if you're looking to invest, grow, or just navigate the complexities of commercial funding, then Rebecca and her team can certainly help you. Rebecca, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
You are most welcome. You are most welcome. So, Rebecca, I'm really keen to find out. You're the commercial manager of What's Commercial Finance, but tell us a little bit about yourself. How on earth did you get into that role?
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't start in this career path. And I didn't know I was going to work for What's Commercial Finance, but I have to say the last 16 months have just been fabulous. I suppose a little bit about myself. I'm a mum of two. I have a loving husband who I've been with for 15 years. I know I don't look old enough. But
You
I
don't.
have but I have, yeah, a little girl and a little boy of 4 and 7. Most people actually don't know that my first job was actually as a singer. So it was a world apart from being a commercial manager.
Oh my goodness
So
me.
I've let that spill early. But yeah, that was kind of where I first started. But actually, I started in asset-based lending, did a bit of venture debt and growth debt, and then I came to What's 16 months ago.
Wow. So I can't believe it. You were a singer and you've gone all the way now to be the commercial manager of What's Commercial Finance. That is amazing. Wow.
It's a bit
So
of a
look,
twist and
you're the
turn.
commercial, definitely. So tell me, so you're the commercial manager. What does that mean? What do you do in your day-to-day role?
So here at Watts, we've been around 18 years. So we've got offices all over the UK, and we find funds for about 85 million a month. So we're one of the largest commercial brokers in the UK. And that means a lot of things. And one of probably the biggest USPs of why I joined Watts was because we don't cherry pick. And what I mean by that is we believe that everybody has the right to funding. So whether that's a sole trader or a limited company, as you mentioned at the beginning, or an individual, whether they're looking for £25,000 or 100 million, it really doesn't matter, and everything in between. We will support businesses looking for all sorts of funding. So my day-to-day role may be going and meeting a client face to face, because we're all about relationships. It's a bit like being your old school bank manager when you wanted somebody to turn up and have tea and biscuits and talk about your business. We will do that face to face. It doesn't all have to be over Teams. So my day comprises of meeting people, businesses day to day. It will be speaking with introducers, and they will obviously be introducing their clients to me. And then it's getting down to the nitty gritty, finding out what the client wants, and then actually speaking to the lenders, and working out what is the best way of funding and supporting them going forward.
I suppose just listening to you, what you're saying is probably music to a lot of businesses and business leaders' ears, really, because I think one thing that's missing at the moment is the relationship. And when
Yeah,
I think of, going to somebody for commercial funding, you think sometimes for some business leaders, it's out of their reach. So it's really refreshing to know that somebody like you will come along and talk to them over tea and biscuits. But no, seriously,
yeah.
to talk to them. I just think that's so, so important, rather than over Teams or it's been distant. It feels like as a company, you have the personal touch, which I think a lot of business leaders really do need right now.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's not rocket science. We've come a
Mm,
huge way since COVID. Being
mm,
able to do things electronically and over Teams and video is fantastic. But ultimately, you're asking for money to drive something that's probably one of the largest things in your life, your business. And you want to see the whites of people's eyes. You want to
Yeah.
trust the person that's in front of you. Watts is very different in that we actually write a credit paper and present to the lenders what it is we want to achieve for our clients. This isn't popping something in a portal and just seeing what gets chucked out the other end. This is having direct relationships with those lenders to say, this is what we're proposing, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly about this business, but we're okay with this because of X, Y, Z. And then actually coming back with some meaningful offers. And to be able to do that, we've got to have that relationship with the client. It's not just a name and a number.
Hmm. Do you know what I love about you talking to you right now is the fact that I could just feel that passion and the fact that you really do care, and that's really wonderful to hear. Really, what would you say is the best thing about your role?
Do you know what? I never thought when I was in asset based lending and then venture debt or growth debt that I was going to become a commercial broker. I'd always been on the lender's side, I'd never been on the advisor's side. But when I was approached by Phil Gray, our managing director, and he talked about it was about being a family and it was about helping businesses and people of all sizes. And that's the bit that gets me out of bed every morning. I had a business recently where we'd funded £75,000 for a new coffee shop. But to give that news to that individual, it was her and a partner, to give that news to say, you've got £75,000, you can go and open that coffee shop, gave me so much joy to know I'd supported them just a little bit on their journey, is worth so much more than sometimes a very straightforward transaction that might be worth £5 million. You're actually helping people's lives, and that's what I love. It's very eclectic. So I could be at a manufacturer's one day, I've got my rigger boots on the next day, and you've probably seen on LinkedIn, I'm on top of some roof of a house that's being built. Or, only last week I was in a HMO and I'd met a man there who had been in this HMO for 15 years. That was all he knew. But this business, it was actually a father and son, they're creating this service to the community by providing these affordable HMOs. That's what gets me excited every day about who I'm going to meet and who I'm going to support.
Oh, I love it. I really do. So, you've talked a little bit about helping a wide range of businesses. So, what sort of funding or types of funding solutions can you offer then as a company?
Yeah, so pretty much anything that a business is going to need. So, Watts is prolific in property. And if anybody's ever heard of Watts Commercial Finance, you'd say, oh, well, they're a mortgage broker. We've won Best Commercial Mortgage Broker of the Year for the last 7 consecutive years. But ironically,
Wow.
so it's pretty amazing. But ironically, we're not a mortgage broker in that we are commercial advisors, commercial brokers. So we can do so much more. So if I take you from the beginning, I suppose where I would say bridging. And bridging, that could be hammer's gone down, you've got 28 days at an auction and you're buying a property and you need to move quickly. Bridging can also mean, and this is where you have to box clever sometimes with some of these products and these lenders, is it's not just what you think it has to be. You haven't got to pigeonhole that lending. It's how does it fit for your purpose? So a bridge could be used to go and buy stock. So you might secure it against a property, go and buy stock in another country or, somewhere else. You come back, you sell the stock, you release, excuse me, you release the finance. That could be as short as a 3-month bridge. So yes, the security is against the house, but it's a cash flow issue. So it's about thinking differently about bridging. And also you might have a bridge because you want to do something to a property, but it needs planning permission. So you wouldn't go directly into a development loan, but you'd have a bridge while you got the planning permission. And then once you've got your planning permission, you'd get a development loan. So that's the first step. The second step is, as I mentioned, a development loan. And that could be ground up, I'm going to build something. Or that could be I'm buying a 3-bed house and I want to convert it into a 6-bed house. Or I'm buying a warehouse and I want to turn it into offices. It doesn't just have to be I'm building a house. So that's development funding, and we can do that again of all shapes and sizes. And then that probably leads into commercial mortgage. So that can be buy-to-lets. So, that could be an individual with one buy-to-let. That's still classed as commercial, and that's a big misconception because you're not physically living in it. So it's an investment, so there is a business purpose there. So that could be, a buy-to-let, that could be a commercial property, that might be a hotel, a retail unit, whatever. But it's a traditional mortgage. We then go probably away from property, and you'll know of things such as invoice finance, asset finance, cash flow lending. So that can be secured and unsecured. Revolving credit facilities. A lot of people don't know about revolving credit facilities, but they're amazing for businesses for cash flow. Revenue-based finance, mergers and acquisitions, management buyouts. So huge range of products that we actually offer that isn't just mortgages, and actually is probably a bit of a misconception where Watts is concerned.
Do you know, totally, because listening to you, I had no idea that a lot of these things were available. And I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners as well would definitely think that. There's such a wide range, isn't there?
There is. And not everything just fits one shape and size. Invoice finance is a fantastic way to help businesses with their cash flow. But there's a finite amount of businesses that will work for. Whereas if you can't get that because of the sector that you're in or the business that you're in, well, actually then how does a revolving credit facility work for you, or supplier finance? And I have to say, since COVID, there's been an influx of different lenders that are being more creative with their structures. And I think that's where you hear a lot of people talk about the high street lens versus the alternative market. And actually in 2023, it was the first year that the alternative lending market actually lent more than the high street banks. And that was the first time ever in the history of a high street bank. But I think where people used to go to their high street for that relationship, for all of their lending needs, it's not the same anymore, and their risk appetite and credit appetite has completely changed. So that's why people need to understand what is available in that alternative lending space.
I think the one thing that's really struck me listening to you is the fact that you don't know what you don't know. No. And if you're a business owner and you're looking perhaps to find some funding and you only know the sort of traditional way, really, it would really benefit them to talk to somebody like you, because I suppose that you could give them ideas, be a little bit creative, and tell them things that they just simply don't know.
Yeah. And the most expensive thing about a business is actually running the business and the people in it. So if you suddenly say, well, I need £100,000, I need to go and find some funding, you probably don't know where to start. So you've now got the time taken to go and find somebody. You then need to understand the product and how it's going to fit, and they're all going to sell it to you in various different ways. And ultimately, this is just hours and hours and hours of you, perhaps a finance director or the managing director, being out of your business. So I do try and explain to people the benefit of using an advisor. Yes, there is a cost. Again, Watts are very different in that we don't charge any upfront fees. So we're that confident that we'll get you the right offer, the one that fits you, and it's just honest and trustworthy advice. We don't charge you anything until you get a credit-backed offer that you want to proceed with.
Wow.
So we will go away and do the work. Yeah. Come back to you and say, look, these are the offers on your table. This is what we can do. We're happy to give advice. And then at that point, would you pay a proportion of the fee? The rest you would pay on completion once you've actually got the money. But it's sometimes when you speak to clients, they say, well, I'm going to have to pay this, and that's an extra fee. We've got over 250 lenders on our panel. Now, I'm sure you're not going to go and find out who all those 250 lenders are, and even all the products that I've just mentioned to you. So by using the advisor, not only are we going to get you the best rates, we've got the relationships, the ease, the speed. We're going to do the whole hand-holding service because I'm supported by a team of assistants in our head office in Cheshire. So we will look at doing, the paperwork, the valuations, the lawyers where that's needed, all in the same time that you're still remaining in your business and making sure the day-to-day running is exactly the same. So
which is where they need to be.
It is. And that's where they lose so much money in time, whereas we're giving them time back and getting them very good rates and structures, etc. Because ultimately, at 85 million a month, we're going to have very good relationships with these lenders. So I always think a client has to weigh up, they have to spend to accumulate. And that's really what an advisor's doing for them.
I suppose as well, costly mistakes can be made because whilst you're trying to save money by doing it yourself, you don't necessarily know where you're looking. You might not have the best advice, but more importantly, your time's valuable as well. So, as you just explained, you've got all that information at your fingertips. And you know what's out there and what's available, what's good, what's bad, and what would suit the company, which I think is, fantastic, really.
Yeah,
Just
and
talking to you
ultimately,
now. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, ultimately, we see so many clients come to us whereby they've taken a short-term loan, but it was really high interest rate, or they didn't understand what they were getting into, and then they come to us and we have to try and unravel that.
Fantastic. Rebecca, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. I just feel your passion and your energy, which just makes such a difference. But more importantly, I've learnt loads. So thank you very much indeed. We'll be sharing your details with all of our listeners. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.